Hello, I'm Jamie Lewis and I'm down at Gallows Point on the Isle of Anglesey, which is the birthplace of the Menai Strait One Design heritage fleets. And I'm here to talk to some of the key people involved in this project today to find out a little more on their history and what it means to be involved in such a beautiful heritage project. So Ray, I want to hear from all of you, but we'll start with you first. What is it that draws you to the boats? Why are you here still after all these years?
Why am I here after 40 years?
Yeah.
I was introduced in the 80s to the boats and fell in love basically with the boats. I'd been doing offshore with my father and I found the 20-footer was more like what I wanted to carry on with, and so I bought one in 82 and I've been here ever since.
And Gally, I believe that you're one of the original boat builders, is that right?
Not the original boat builders, no, but I rebuilt them because I was involved with the yacht club and yacht racing. And when my son was of an age that he wanted to go racing after being sailing with Captain McClymont in MS's, I decided to get one, which I got one from Penryn Dock and kindly given to me. I think it was given to me. I'm sure I didn't pay anything for it. If you ask Scott Medcalf, he'll tell you I didn't pay nothing for it. But it was given to me before it went on the bonfire on November the 5th. What year it was, I can't remember. But it was a long time ago, and I left it in the shed to save it going on the bonfire at November the 5th. And rebuilt it from there. And eventually, it did lovely, didn't it, Ray? It went nicely. It was a smashing time we had with it. And the youngster still sails to this day in different boats, but the playmate's still going with Captain McClymont, but he wants to flog it now, doesn't he?
Why are you still so involved?
Well, it just rubs off on you, really. I mean, I say, not that I can't find something to do, but it's nice to have something to do that you're familiar with, and you have been all your life from a young lad, you know, since a boy walking around the town and walking down Bell's Point and find, because really and truthfully in them days, you know, there were only sailing a couple of races every season, well, a bit more than that. I mean, about 18 or 20 races. Now they do 120 of it in here. But them days, it was very nice to come up and see them and people repairing them as kids. And then I got involved in that way. Plus, in fact, it was a cheaper option for me, really. And an easier one to get in sheds because it didn't have no keel, hanging keel, and it had no mast. But you could put the mast down on the 5-course, you can on any boat. But we could get them in the shed and repair them from there on and do a bit every week, every night, whatever you wanted to do. But it wasn't easy, I can promise you. What with work commitments as well, it wasn't easy. But after when I retired, that was not bad. I enjoyed that then. I had something to fall back on.
And Kenyon, what draws you here? Why are you still involved?
Well, I don't know. I started work here as an apprentice when the firm was called Morris and Levitt in them days, and started 1970. Served an apprenticeship, a proper apprenticeship, I might say. You know, not like what they're doing now, go to college after time. I was there on the tools all the time. Yeah. Anyway, I finished my apprenticeship when I was 21, and then off I went to Merchant Navy. I was there for 9 years as a ship's carpenter there in the Merchant Navy. Quit the Merchant Navy, had to get married. So there we are, that put the blocks and things. So after that, I went for a brief period in Wilverhead. We built in Wilverhead Power Station, and I mean a brief period, a few months or so. Came back to work with Mr. Livingston in what was then the Anglesey Boat Company. And we built boats, dinghies, all kinds. I built my very first dinghy at the age of 18, you know. I was given a plan, there, built that lad, and that was it, done it. But yes, after that I joined the RNLI, and I was surveyor of lifeboats for 26 years, and quit that, didn't have a job. Nobody wanted a 60-year-old man, nobody wanted him. So I started off on my own, doing jobs, here, there and everywhere. Ended up in the Point, still doing jobs. I'm making a set of orders at the moment. and that's it.
Aye.
And what does it mean to you to still be involved? How does it make you feel?
It feels good to be involved. I come down every day, and I work every morning for about 4 hours. I go home, do whatever I need to do around about the place at home.
You've been
but
working
yeah.
full day, haven't you?
Yeah.
All day.
every day.
Fair play,
And
well done.
it gives you an aim in life, you know, something to do. You're not sitting down.
And good pals here.
Yeah, yeah, good crack. You got to have a good crack all the time. He pulls my leg, I pull his leg, so that's it.
Good leg pullers here.
Yeah, yeah.
And Polly, what drew you to the sheds, to this world?
I got pretty passionately into woodworking and knew I wanted to work on my feet with my hands, and was looking for an avenue to take that, and came across the apprenticeship and just instantly knew that was going to be a fantastic thing to do. And I feel pretty lucky to be part of a trade like this and to keep it going and be part of the chain of knowledge.
And one of the things that has become really clear to me in some of the chats that I've had with you so far and talking to Henry is just how much love and care and attention has been bestowed upon the boats, and the way that everyone talks about each individual boat with such passion and knowledge. Could you tell me a little bit about that? What do they mean to you? Why is there this love for them?
Well, most of the Beaumaris people, young people, are involved in some way or other with an MS1 design because they could, crew or something like that. And if I come, because I work for the Royal Anglers Yacht Club and I was a bosun for them, if I came down on a Monday morning, there are people in the street asking me, how did so-and-so get on Saturday, David? How did so-and-so, and I'd have to go through the whole process of the race, which would hold me up, so I'd have to get to work. And they'd be following me down the pier and pulling ropes for me to get in my dinghy to get out of the boat because they wanted to know what was happening. There was the whole town people, when they race on a Saturday, used to come on the green or onto the West End or get a bicycle and come up here if they were racing up this way towards Bangor Pier. And they'd sit there with their binoculars and the picnic and watch the racing from there. But you'd be surprised how many people, and even to this day, in fairness, there's still people going, and certainly if you have a race to Bangor, people are in Gazelle watching with binoculars. Very nice, it's easy, and they got mobile phones and they can tell if their son's in a boat or their little granddaughter or something, they can have how are you getting on, so to speak. And it's a wonderful pastime for them, and it's a cheap pastime. If you don't own one, it's cheap.
So I was talking to Henry yesterday.
It's damn dear if you own one. Well, it's not that bad really, in fairness, It's something, and it keeps everybody's interest going and enjoying it, and the people that are involved in the Menai Race One Design are lovely, lovely people that have a camaraderie and good fun with each other, leg pullers and things like that. I like that, I enjoy that. I enjoy saying you're as much in use in the boat when they've lost as a chocolate fire garden kind of things like that, and they go off in the hump for a couple of days and then come back to me. But I used to give them some stick.
Kenyon, what about you?
Well, I tell you, Davey was talking about when the Stretch One Design, the boat at the back of you there. I worked on the very last one of them. I was a young lad. And the boat's been built and it's been lying in the bottom of the shed. And Wilf Levitt, the owner of the yard, says, come on lad, we'll finish this boat off. And we put the deck on it. And there was the method of putting the deck on was you put the battens on, you put the canvas on, but before you put the canvas on, you painted the deck with very thin wet paint, put the canvas into that, and then put the battens on, put weights where the cockpit is, put weights in there to pull the canvas tight, paint the canvas with wet paint again over the top, and then put the battens in. Then the canvas was like a board stuck to the deck, and it lasted for years and years. You didn't need a non-skate deck. I mean, that was as good as a non-skate in itself. Yeah, and I was involved in the very last of what they call the MSs now. Now we called them in them days the 20-footers, and they were called the 20-footers. Everybody knew them as the 20-footers, and that's the way it went. Yeah, but no, that was good. I started building on my own, building the first boat on my own. When old Will Morris, he came to me with a set of plans. Yeah, I built that like that. Now I had to lay the boat down first, all the drawings on the floor, and did all that, make all the patterns, everything, and then built the boat. And it was very nearly finishing the blooming boat, and he says, oh, we wanted a strake higher, so one plank higher. So they put my plans all to cock then, didn't they? So to start again. Did the boat, and the boat became the yard's dinghy. Now, I went away to sea for 9 years. The boat was still going when I came back. So, that's some boat there. Yeah, it was an interesting time what they were doing my apprenticeship there, you know, very interesting. We built cutters for the Royal Navy. I think we built about 4 cutters for the Royal Navy. We built a couple of private yachts, motorboats, no, not yachts, motorboats. A couple of them. We built a boarding boat for the New Brighton lifeboat. That was about 20 feet. I built most of that myself in the 1950s. Now I can't tell you, I was away at sea then for quite a while. But when I came back, it was different altogether. The yard, yes, we did build boats, but it become more of a storage yard, like what it is now. You know, you stored a lot of boats. In the old days, it didn't store too many. They were big, heavy boats, and took a lot of men to handle them, to store them, you know. But 1964, I packed it in. I was 60. So there's no job for you, you're too old. You know, I'm still working.
What we tend to forget too really is, you know, the fact that these boats would have been on bonfires. They would have been broken up if it hadn't been for Ray Beer. And I must say, they would have gone.
Yeah.
And not just the 2 or 4 that I built, but the 4 that he built, that was 8 out of the whole bloody lot, would have gone on the bonfire. And you know, a lot of people with Ray's enthusiasm come in, didn't they, Ray? You know, John Willie and all those, everybody, Matt Clement and everybody, Henry and everybody else, came in then, they knew what was happening and they enjoyed what was happening. And this is a rebirth really. And it was, wasn't it? There was nothing there. When I first started with the yacht club, there was 4 MSs, I think, racing every Saturday. Well, before that, I mean to say I know, but there was about 4 MSs sailing on a Saturday. And then Ray came into it, and what we had, the whole fleet out at one time, every one of them, 17 of them that were built, which was lovely.
What made you do that, Ray? What was the driving force behind you doing that?
Henry's father introduced me. I was writing the history of the Menai Straits 1 design, and Henry's father had been to London and the Thames and brought back number 2. And I thought, it's time to get the others back as well. But that was in the 70s. When I came along in the 80s and was writing the history of the class and wrote the history about Henry's father, I thought I should start doing this with the rest of the owners. So we started looking for the boats. The 2 that were missing, we knew where 15 of them were, and we knew 2 were missing. So I started asking around, where have they all gone? Let's get them back, and let's rebuild this class back to how it used to be. It became a passion with me, and so I went out and started asking, where's it gone, who's got it, and eventually we found all of them and brought them back, and now they're being rebuilt and still being rebuilt again by Polly.
Yeah.
Yes, well done, Polly.
And Polly, like listening to all of that, do you feel this weight of responsibility? How does it make you feel, kind of hearing about the work that's gone into the boats over the decades, and what you're now doing for the boats and the fleet?
yeah, you can feel the passion. Everyone absolutely loves doing it. Yeah, no, it's fantastic because I guess it's the next stage, and it's the next stage of restoration, and I hope there'll be more that are done like that, and that it sort of continues to a point when they're all back on the water, really healthy and thriving.
And what do you think it would mean to your community? So I was talking with you, Ray, earlier about, you know, do the boats mean anything to the wider community? And you were telling me about what that actually means.
There was a lot of interest in the early days, rather not the early days, around the 80s, when the Scouts were interested. So the local Boy Scouts used to come down and work on my boat. Then that seemed to drop off for a while, but again when I wrote the history and started finding the boats, a lot more interest. Suddenly everybody was interested. I just drew everybody in to help find these boats and to get the interest back again.
The interest is still here today, isn't it, in fairness? More so, as much as it was in the old days, in fairness, with people stopping you and talking about you and who's doing this and who's doing that. And we keep them informed. And you know, really and truthfully, when we were building them in the shed in the point, I'd be the only one here in the dark in the winter, because we had no telephone mobiles or nothing like that, and there was no telephone, everything was cut off. They used to call me as a lifeboat coxswain if they wanted an emergency. I had to switch a VHS on in the shed that Mr. Fielding had given me, and we put it in the shed so the Coast Guards could give me a call to say you wanted on the big lifeboat, the all-weather lifeboat that was. And I'd have to cycle back or car it back for that. But what happened when you were here in the shed, there used to be people saying, David, and you'd jump in the darkness, not thinking, but it'd be Mr. Levitt or Georgie Grebbin, or someone had walked up to have a look to see what you were doing and how good Peter Brinicombe coming in and having the butchers down the boat. Then you look, you do this way, and you do that this way, and all that, which was very encouraging because I wasn't a boat builder by profession. That's all. Like, I was only doing it in my spare time, which was done perfectly because they were on top of you, looking at you every second. I can tell you, making sure you did it right.
What would you say to the people who think that maybe this is at risk, like that if we don't get interest for the boats and the history now, that they might disappear? What would you say to that? What do you think needs to happen?
Disaster, a complete disaster, in my mind, and I'm sure Raymond will speak the same, and Kenyon and
Well, I mean,
Polly.
We hope it'll never come to that.
Yes, exactly.
Which is
what
why
we
we're
worked for
very
has gone
pleased
for nothing.
that you've come along and Henry's doing what he's doing, getting the class back on them into the conditions they used to be. And let's hope more people, younger people, will come along and carry on from where we've left off and get the class back up to the numbers that used to be.
And Polly, I'm particularly interested in your thoughts on this. What do you think it would take to get people interested, to make sure that younger people are coming through and that the boats can be around for generations and decades next?
Yeah, community interaction and just like getting the word out and people knowing that it's still there. So yeah, letting people know that they can come down to the shed and like get involved, and the social sort of interaction, I think. Young people.
Yeah, people coming along and just having a chat.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. They come in that shed and have a chat, you know, and I tell them anything that comes to my head. Not all of it is truth.
But times have changed now, haven't they, really? You know, the enthusiasm of young people, and it's not quite the same as what it was before. People are interested, but they're not interested to come on board and sail at the Raymond now, really, in fairness. I hope they're there. They seemed to be better last season. And, you know, it's the same with everything now. If you haven't got a mobile phone and all the gizmo that goes with it, it's no use to anybody. You're flying in space, aren't you?
But, you know, we seem to think, concentrate on the MSs. Yes, all the MSs were built on the point. But there's another class of boat that comes to the point, an awful lot. Well, in fact, all of them. The Fifes, they were built in Dickies in Bangor.
Yes.
They're lovely boats, lovely racing boats. They're faster than these boats, you know. There are a deep keel yacht, and they change hands quite a lot. And I remember it nearly came to the end. They were all built of wood, and they nearly came to the end. And old Archie Dickey, which was the son of Dickey's in them days, and he said to scraping one boat down, getting her as true as he possibly could, and used her as a mould to make fiberglass boats. And most of the fifes now are fiberglass, made of fiberglass, and that's thanks to Archie Dickey. Otherwise they'd have gone.
But tell them
This is what we don't really want, though. We want the MSs to stay wooden, and this is why we're really glad that Polly's coming along and repairing wooden boats. We love wooden boats.
we don't want fiberglass boats, we're just happy with wooden boats.
Henry was telling me a bit about the fact that he's been able to win some funding and become a charity. This work is now a charity, and it's off the back of the heritage status. So what do you think it's going to take to keep it going? We've talked a little bit about what you would like, but what do you think it will take?
Oh, we help with the web. Now that everybody's on the web, a lot of everything is going out there on their phones, and you can find all this information out. But it needs publicity, which is what we're hoping you will do, for people to go on the web and start looking at the classes and what's going on in Gallows Point. And that's and people interested in, like these gentlemen here, and what they've done over the years and kept this wooden class of boat going.
And if someone were to see that, say in the future there's something on the web and they've seen about your boats and they want to come down, what would you say to them? What can they come down and do?
Well, just encouragement, that's basically the top of the tree, like, you know, just encourage people to come and tell them that, you know, some people are looking for something to do in their retirement times or their leisure time. Well, there's nothing better than playing around with the boats in many respects. And I noticed 3 or 4 of the lads come down as early, not early, but the racing starts in May or late April. And I noticed that the masts are on the benches there, and the doors are open, and boys are working on the boats. And it's very encouraging for us to say, well, there's a season starting, thank God for that. You know, we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to see sails on the Menai Straits and have a good season.
Yeah.
With plenty of sunshine.
You know, the everything's here. You got the straits. Okay, you got to know what you're doing sailing on the straits. Very fast currents here, and the currents can go that way and that way at the same time. You've got to watch it, but you get used to it. And people that start sailing on these boats, they get into difficulties. But as they get used to it, it becomes a challenge, and it is a challenge. Believe me, it's a challenge.
Would people be able to come down and have a go? Could they help restore? Could they?
This is what Henry and Polly are doing. More and more people, they're having workshops, aren't you, Polly? And getting people down here and helping to do some of these hand jobs, you know, the old skills, trying to keep the old skills of doing things by hand, scraping, etc. And this is what we're hoping these workshops that this heritage is now introducing will, as I say, advertising on the web or wherever, will then bring more people down here. Like Kenyon says, people are always putting their heads in the sheds to find out what they're doing. Luckily, these guys are still here and doing the jobs.
I often wonder if the young people that would like to get into this game are fearful of using old-fashioned tools. But people that are doing the job with modern tools, I tell you what, they're doing as good a job now with modern tools, electrical tools and battery tools than ever was done before. Well, not ever, but as good as. And honestly, what I've seen of the finishing work on some of these boats that have been done, and they haven't used a jack plate or a spoke shaver, that's for sure, and perfect. So there's no fear of anything like that. All they have to do is abide by rules, you know, safety rules. That's all. If they abide by the safety rules, the electric guns, electric battery guns, electric tools, job's done. Wonderful.
Polly, can you tell me a bit about the work that you do and the skill involved and the kind of, we were talking a little bit before about how much you love using your hands. Can you describe that?
Yeah, I think it's really fun to be working on jobs that are so varied and quite intense for periods, but then you sort of don't see that for another year or a few months, and a massive variety of tools as well. And I think about building up my tool set, I think, oh, that's a lot of tools, but I think it's quite nice and accessible if people want to come down to the shed and have an idea of what's going on, because you could be doing something quite skilled or you'd be doing something just to get yourself involved to begin with, and that might help people just to see what's involved, because I think my generation is quite used to a quick and instant sport like surfing or windsurfing or something like that you just get your board and you go to the beach, and then maybe they don't realise that it's a whole package. It's learning the skills of how to build a boat. It's the community that comes along with it.
But Polly, we were talking about, you were saying your generation were used to kind of getting their surfboards out, going, quick hits, but you were starting to describe some of the skills that you were developing in the process and like some of the artisan qualities of the work. Could you talk a little bit about that and why you think what your generation might be able to get from it?
Yeah, I suppose it's the whole process involved of kind of picking and choosing your words, taking a lot of material off quite quickly, and then you do the finer cuts. Sort of like making a mast, for example. You're picking the wood, you're choosing it, you're scarfing it where it needs to be, shaping it, which is so aesthetically pleasing, so satisfying. And then you get the finishing jobs, the satisfying gloss of varnish on top. Like that whole process to see. I don't know, I think that's what the trade brings is you see it from the start to the finish, depending on the size of your business, I suppose. Some jobs can be quite intense and for a period, like riveting, as Ray was saying. There's a lot of rivets on the MSs and it's quite intense hard work, but it's so satisfying once you've done it and you've steamed all these ribs in, which is another process that I love. Well, the first time I did that, oh wow, I was so lucky.
And a lot of
So
cursing
fun.
when they break.
How many do
A
you
lot of
break?
cursing when the
Yeah,
timbers
so
break.
annoying.
Oh, what?
Got to make sure you got spares.
Me too. So you're a woman apprentice in a world that feels very traditional in terms of men getting involved in the boats. How does it feel to you being a young woman and doing the work? Is there a difference? Do you think it matters?
I don't think it matters. I think it's just the way you attack it, really, and the way you throw yourself at it. And I suppose it can be kind of intimidating because it is a male-dominated trade, but that doesn't matter. And it's quite wonderful to be learning a trade and bringing that sort of gender balance into it. And I think the amount of women that I've talked to who've like, oh, I wish I could have done that, and they can, but it's just realising that and knowing, just like feeling that confidence to do it and into a male-dominated world. But it's a very open world to women as well, I think, which is so wonderful.
So what would you say to other young people and other young women in particular about coming down and getting involved?
Just don't doubt your own abilities, because you can do it just as well as any other person. Gender has nothing to do with it, I don't think.
And in terms of, you were talking before about what you experience when you're doing the scraping, for example. Like, would you say you kind of get into a flow? Could you describe what happens to you in your mind, in your body? Give us a sense of what it feels like to work on the boats.
It's quite a meditative state, so you've got quite a big job to do in a sort of time frame, and I enjoy just getting stuck into something, but then kind of, as I said before, like you might not be doing that for a while afterwards, so you can sort of tack it quite nicely and then sort of we've got the next rewarding step to be looking forward to.
And is there something to say about the traditional ways of refurbishing and restoring the boats versus some of the newer tools and technologies? But is there, you know, in order to ensure the longevity of the fleet, you know, are you open to kind of new technologies and advancements in the way that you do things, or are you very focused on the traditions and making sure it's as original as possible?
We do try, I think most of us do. We try and use the old tools if we can,
Well,
but
yeah,
you do have to use electric now, unfortunately. But it's the satisfaction of using a hand tool is what I find. The actual scraping down the boat, taking the old varnish off or taking some of the old wood off and then cutting another piece of wood to fit in the same place, seeing it finished. It's the finished article afterwards that gives you that reward. It's so rewarding seeing a finished boat or a finished plank or anything you've done. You've just made it by hand or whatever, and it's finished. It's so satisfying.
Would you say there's been an impact on your health and your well-being by being involved in this work?
Oh God, that is driving me mad.
It's driven him mad. Are your wife mad, perhaps? But not you.
No, I tell you, there's a lot of satisfaction in it. Now, you start off with a plan. You lay the plan down on the floor, draw it all out full size, make all your patterns, which takes a lot of time, then you start building your boat. Now, the biggest boat I ever built was 30 foot in length, right? And we built them MS things in Gallows Point. Anyway, we built them, and when the boat's finished and all varnished up, there was a gentleman, it was an Irishman, he came along and he seen all the dowels we put in, and all the dowels had the grain going the same way as the plank, every one of them. So they looked good, everything looked good. And he says, that's the firm I want to build a boat for me. And we did build a boat for him, but it was a fitting out job. It wasn't actually building, it was a fitting out job. The Strider class boat she was. She went over to Ireland, won all kinds of races, but there we are. Yeah, there's a lot of satisfaction in it, a lot of satisfaction. You build a boat, okay. I built a boat for New Brighton, for the lifeboat station in New Brighton, built a boat. And I looked at that little boat when I put it in the water there to do trials on it, and I said, Christ, I did that. You know, it was satisfaction in it, a lot.
And do you think that that's made you feel better on the inside? It's made you stay healthy?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it gives you encouragement, okay, I can do it again.
Gives you a purpose in life, really, and thinking
Yeah, it does.
it extends your life, I think. I hope so, anyway.
Well, so far it has.
Yeah, so far. Thank you, dear Lord.
I always remember going home and my father asking me, what have you been doing today? Oh, building a boat. And he'd come again, what have you been doing today? Building a boat. He'd always building a bloody boat.
And you mentioned before about the boats were originally built for people who couldn't, they were a more affordable option of boat.
But there were people that couldn't afford a bigger boat than these, or a more expensive. These came as a sort of working man's boat, that they could come on a Saturday and relax and have a sail.
A lot of them became joint owners, didn't they, Dave?
Oh yes.
You know, not
Most
just
of
one
them were.
person, maybe 2 or 3 persons
So they split the cost.
chip in and build a boat. Yeah, there's a lot of that went on.
And has there been an impact on your families, your passion for this work? What's it meant for your family life? And
Well, it really, in my case, it gave me a great deal of satisfaction and excitement, because being a boatswain for the yacht club, they were sailing and I was there in charge of their safety, and my son was only 10 or 12 or something like that, and 3 or 4 of them the same age racing. So really and truthfully, it was a great period for me. I was lucky that I have a daughter that looked after my wife on a Saturday, otherwise I'd never been able to do the job. Wouldn't have been fair on her. He's been married as long as I have. I've been married as long as he has. Well done, Kenyon, Diane.
Aye, yeah. But the thing was, you know, in my case, when I got married, I started work for the RNLI, and yeah, I was based at home. My office was at home, but the country, the whole of the country. I've been up to the north of Scotland looking at a blooming boat. Been down to the south of England looking at the boat. All that sort of thing, you know. We travel all the time.
On the Isle of Man.
On the Isle of Man, yeah. It was 50% driving, 20% or 25% paperwork, yeah, and 25% looking at the boats. So it's more driving than anything else.
And what does it mean for your friendship?
Oh, that's marvellous.
Oh,
marvellous.
yeah. You've
Wonderful.
plenty
that.
good mates.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Plenty good mates. You've only got to come down here and go in the other shed. You can have a cup of tea any time. Yeah, there's a gang coming there all the time in the day.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard anybody here on this Gallows Point, and I've been here all my life, have an argument or a dispute with anybody that's working here. It's that kind of a place that people don't fall out. I don't think anyone does, it, Kenyon.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anyone falling out here. No.
No.
So a happy place, put it that way. A very happy place. You look forward to when you get up in the morning. I know when I'm going now, I'm going to Point if it's only to feed the birds.
And in terms of, I'm just wanting to, like, is there something that you'd really love to say and you haven't had the chance to say it just yet? Like, what you'd really love to see happen?
I'd like to see as most of the boats out on the water. They were built here especially for the Menai Straits, and you can sail here anytime. So you don't have to use them just for racing like we do now. I used to go fishing. We used to have an engine on the back end, the Seagull, and go off to Puffin, go round Puffin fishing.
Used to go sit down.
And Henry has started organising another barbecues in Abermenay, so we go down to Carnarvon now. Some of the social sides are being reintroduced, and which is good. There's more and more people using the boats for other things as well as just racing. As we've said before, there's so many racing now, you can over 100 races a season, but in between you can carry on fishing, swimming.
You get any time in between.
They're a day boat, and they're
Yeah.
built for children. Because they're of the setup in the boat, not many children will fall out of them. They're safe boat. They're inside the cockpit, and they're the day boat, as I say, and they can be used for various other things.
Did you have any final thoughts that
Well, I
you'd like
tell
to
you,
share?
on the Point here, it's like a community. Honestly, we all know each other. We all help each other. Doesn't matter what it is that we need to do. We'll help each other. People come along and say, "Can you do this for me?" Yeah, it's going to cost so much. I'll do it and forget about the cost. You know, very often, I've just done a job for a chap now. Now, if I was to charge him the going rate for that job, oh, he'd have to sell the boat,
Yeah.
wouldn't he? I mean, when you think about it, you take an electrician come to the house to change a bulb, it costs you 50 quid just because he's visited. But I mean, we don't go like that.
And Polly, any kind of things that you would like to share that you think are important for people to know or to hear?
I'm excited to see where the trade goes, because I've recently been meeting a few more people who are sort of my age doing it, and it's really nice to know that there is like a resurgence of the trade, and there's like a much more, there is a push for heritage trades. So I've met a few other people kind of my age around this area. I'm yet to meet another female boat builder, but I do know they're out there, which is the beauty of kind of social media, one of the positive sides, I suppose. And I'm intrigued to see where it goes, and yeah, I love it.
And Ray, final thoughts as president. What would you say to someone who's interested in sailing? Why here? Why the Straits? Why these boats?
You'd have to come here the boats are built specially for here. So if you want to sail in the Menai Straits, the boat is ideal for it. And you get so much satisfaction learning all about the tides and the sandbanks and where everything is. And it's so satisfying. This is the thing. That's why I really enjoy it. And that's why I've been doing it for 44 years. Yeah. I just really enjoy it. It's so satisfactory. It's like just sailing and repairing and keeping the class going.
And in 10 years' time, what will you see if it all goes to plan?
If it all goes to plan, and if the heritage carries on as it is, hopefully we'll see most of the boats out on the water.
Yeah.
Perhaps not at the same time, but try and get them all fit and serviced and on the water.